Welcome. Today we're talking with Becky Reed. She is the CEO at Lone Star Credit Union and the co-founder and board chair at PureIT Credit Union Services, a CUSO dedicated to helping credit unions navigate the ever-changing technology landscape. Becky, thank you and welcome to Credit Union Digest.
Thank you, Larry. So happy to be here.
Great. All right. Well, Becky, so with your technology background, you've taken a non-traditional path to becoming Lone Star's CEO. Can you share with us how that came about?
So I started my credit union career in the retail side of the house. So I was helping members across the desk. And so that's really how I came up the ranks in the credit union space. So because of that, I oftentimes was asked to fix people's equipment, right? So because my credit union career started more than 25 years ago, you can imagine what the technology landscape was back then.
Right.
And so I became the desktop support person, right? And then as I started implementing projects that helped the retail area, I became technologically savvy. So when I joined Lone Star Credit Union as the Chief Operations Officer, I very quickly also became the Chief Information Officer because of the initiatives that were happening inside the credit union that revolved around technology. And because I was at the forefront of those initiatives, I also added CIO to my title. So I come from an operations technology background, which, as you said, is non-traditional.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Becky. So regarding digital transformation, have credit unions begun to think about digital transformation in terms of maturity stages?
So there is actually a group that has formed, and CUNA is helping to coordinate the group, and it's called the Credit Union Digitization Group. And we are actually going through a maturity model for credit unions because many credit unions, when they think about digital, they think about a member-facing type of product, which usually ends up being software.
Okay.
So the digitization group actually goes into a little bit more detail so that you can decide as a credit union where you are in that maturity model and where you should go. And in some cases, maybe even where to start. And what we have found is because most credit unions consider digital member facing, the front end, the user experience, right? We have found that many credit unions don't consider the back end of the technology as part of a digital transformation. Now, in 2016, Lone Star Credit Union co-founded PureIT Credit Union Services, which you mentioned earlier, and I still continue to serve as the board chair. That CUSO was formed specifically to help credit unions with their technology infrastructure. So the infrastructure is the things that people don't see, right? The members don't see the infrastructure, but infrastructure is completely necessary, and a modern infrastructure is absolutely necessary in order to be able to implement all those really cool member-facing things. And so the digitization group is going through the process of helping credit unions figure that out, from infrastructure all the way to the digital roadmap.
Great. You know, Becky, you make a great point that, you know, digital transformation is more than putting in those platforms and services that really the member experiences. There's so much more behind the curtain that you spoke about. So that's really great that you're helping people understand that much more complex view of digital transformation. So, you know, as you look out over the next 3 to 5 years, which seems like forever, what do you see as the things that must be included in digital transformation as we move forward?
Well, when you think about 3 to 5 years, that does seem like a long time to think about how far away that might be today. But when you talk about digital transformation, 3 to 5 years is really like light years away, because everything digital technology is multiplying every second. And it really requires a plan in
Mhm.
order to keep up. Things are changing so rapidly, you've got to have a plan. And you don't have to be the very first one to implement something, but you've got to have a plan. We all have budgets, we all
Right.
have resource constraints that we're having to deal with. But without a roadmap and without a digital journey that everybody at your credit union is in tune with, you're not really going to make progress. You're going to spin your wheels. And there's things that have to happen in order. Got to get your infrastructure in order. Then you add layers on top of that. And many times it requires maybe a vendor replacement, or there's a contract that you have in place. For example, you might have an MPLS line that you have a contract that doesn't expire for 2 or 3 years. So all
Right.
of those things have to be placed on the roadmap. So you make sure that you have the resources to actually implement these things and you have a plan to move forward. That is vitally important in order to be considered a digital credit union. And whether it's a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, just get started with a plan.
Great, great. Thank you, Becky. Your points about the plan and the resources and having it all together there so important to lay out the digital transformation. So, Becky, thank you for sharing your insights on the continuing digital transformation for credit unions over the next 3 to 5 years. So, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Great. In closing, thank you for joining Credit Union Digest. If you have additional questions for Becky, please see the link in her bio.